All right, sports fans, how's everybody out there doing? William Martin coming at you one more time here on YouTube with another edition of the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge Podcast. It is that time of the week, folks, my weekly picks in the world of the National Football League. On Thursday night, I picked the Tennessee Titans to go on the road and knock off the Green Bay Packers. That's exactly what the Titans were able to do. I had it 27-24, but it was actually 27-17 in favor of Tennessee as they have themselves a stranglehold on things in the AFC South. Now, with that said, there are some tremendous games on tap for tomorrow, as well as a Monday night affair. And with that said, here are my picks for week number 11 in this NFL season. Now, tomorrow you're going to have the 3-7 Chicago Bears traveling to take on the 4-6 Atlanta Falcons. And the biggest question for me is which scrambling quarterback is going to be able to lead his team to victory? We've seen Justin Fields in recent weeks for the Bears use his legs just as much as he's done his arm, if not more. So it's going to be interesting to see if the Falcons defense can slow him down and try to make him a passer. Marcus Mariota, of course, he has a little bit more seasoning under his belt, but can he be consistent enough in this past game for Atlanta to lead them to victory? I think this is going to be a back and forth affair. Obviously, Atlanta has a little bit more to play for right now than Chicago, just due to the fact that Atlanta finds themselves in a divisional race. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to take the Falcons by the score of 30-27. Now, tomorrow in Motown, you're going to have the 6-3 Buffalo Bills hosting the 3-6 Cleveland Browns. And of course, this game is taking place in Detroit due to the fact of the humongous amount of snow that recently hit Western New York. The Bills, they're going to be playing in Motown on Thanksgiving Day against the Detroit Lions. So why not, just get the party started a little bit early? The Bills did have some issues getting out of Western New York. They were able to get to Detroit safe and sound, and now they got to get themselves prepped for a game. Also, Buffalo has to find a way to slow down this two-game losing streak that they're currently on. They lost against the Jets, and then that crazy ending last week at home against the Minnesota Vikings. First and foremost, you look at this two-game losing streak for Buffalo, and it starts with quarterback Josh Allen. He has to do a much better job of protecting the ball, and I think a quarterback's best friend is always a solid running game, and Buffalo has to get their run attack going. Defensively, this Bills team needs to step up. They've got to slow down Jacoby Brissett and this Cleveland offense. And I know somebody might laugh when I say that, but the bottom line is, Jacoby Brissett is a veteran in the NFL, and if you allow him to get into a rhythm, he can pick you apart. So it's one of those where I know the Buffalo is heavily favored in this contest, but at the end of the day, Cleveland is going to be a thorn in their side throughout this contest. Buffalo's going to win, but they're going to have to work for it. And I'm going to take the Bills by the score of 34-27. Now you're going to have the 8-1 Philadelphia Eagles traveling to take on the 4-5-1 Indianapolis Colts. Now, Philadelphia comes into this contest favored by 6.5 points, and they want to look to get back on track after suffering their first defeat of the season. Um, Philadelphia is going to have a tiger by the tail in this one. And I say this because this is the Colts' first home game under interim head coach Jeff Saturday. And of course, Jeff Saturday it's like a welcome home for a hometown hero, if you will. Saturday played the bulk of his NFL career with the Colts as a starting center for those Peyton Manning years. Came back last week, obviously with no prior coaching experience in the NFL, and helped the Colts secure a road win over the Las Vegas Raiders. Now he's going to try to do it in front of the home crowd, and I guarantee you he's definitely going to have support. Ball security. Philadelphia's got to get back to taking care of the ball. Didn't do a good job of that on their Monday night loss to Washington, and they need to really establish the line of scrimmage. Also, it looks like they're going to be going up against veteran quarterback Matt Ryan. So Matt Ryan has never been the most mobile quarterback throughout his NFL career. So if you're Philadelphia, what do? You got to go out there and put the pressure on him. So I think it's going to be on this front four of this Eagles defense to get home and really disrupt the rhythm of this Colts offense. Indianapolis is going to give Philadelphia everything that they can handle and then some. But when it's all said and done, I think Philadelphia escapes town with a 24-22 win. Now in Foxborough, you're going to have the 6-3 New York Jets traveling to take on the 5-4 New England Patriots. And of course, one of the biggest questions coming into this contest is whether or not Bill Belichick will continue to be a thorn in the side of the Jets. You think about this long and lengthy winning streak that the Patriots have over the Jets. Obviously, for years, most of that was done with Tom Brady at quarterback, but then you still have Bill Belichick cooking up these defenses. And like I always say, Bill Belichick always finds a way to go into his bag of tricks and confuse a young quarterback. He did it earlier this year when the Jets face the Patriots at MetLife Stadium. And now the Jets have to try to find a way to make adjustments and get their young quarterback, Zach Wilson, in motion. One big thing for the Jets, they need to establish their run game and really take that pressure off of Zach Wilson and put him in pass happy situations. This contest is going to come down to field position. This contest is going to come down to turnovers. The Jets defense, they've been playing lights out in recent weeks. Can they slow down this Patriots offense? And can they make young quarterback Mac Jones have a case of the turnovers himself? The Jets will be game, but I'm going to give the edge to New England in this one. Thus, I'm going to take the Patriots at home by the score of 27-20. Now at the Superdome, you're going to have the 3-6 Los Angeles Rams squaring off with the 3-7 New Orleans Saints. The Saints come into this contest favored by 2.5 points. And this is a very intriguing game right here because you look at the Saints offense and it's been stuck in the mud with Andy Dalton at quarterback. Their defense has been playing very good and good enough for this team to probably be 6-4, but that's not the case. On the flip side for the Rams, they're welcoming Matthew Stafford back at quarterback. He missed last week's loss to the Arizona Cardinals as he was in the concussion protocol. And now you're asking Stafford to come back against this ferocious Saints front, which is led by Cam Jordan. And I'm talking about that because the Rams have had issues on the offensive line all season long, and they cannot run the football as well. So it's going to be a very interesting game here. Somebody's going to have to step up on either side and try to make a play. I would not be surprised if a defensive play is made to change the outlook on this contest because the defenses, I think, are really going to reign supreme in this game tomorrow. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to give Los Angeles the slight edge with Stafford back at quarterback, and I'm going to take LA on the road by the score of 20-16. Now at MetLife Stadium, you're going to have the 7-2 New York Football Giants hosting the 3-6 Detroit Lions. The Giants come into this contest favored by 3 points, and they've been doing it so far this season with a very stingy defense to go along with a solid and physical run game. As the weeks progress, the Giants' offensive line gets a little bit better. And then on top of that, the running ability of Saquon Barkley is really carrying this team right now. Saquon is one of those backs that the more that you feed him, the better that he is. He kind of reminds me of a heavyweight boxer who just continues to dish out the body blows, and then in those later rounds, he takes over. Well, guess what? That's what we're seeing with Saquon Barkley. I know that his uncle was a former professional boxer, and Iran Barkley, but nonetheless, Saquon goes out there with a running back, with a boxer's mentality. Now, with that said, this Giants defense, can they find a way to put some pressure on Lions quarterback Jared Goff? That's going to be the big thing because if you let Goff get comfortable back there in that pocket, he can definitely pick you apart. The Lions under head coach Dan Campbell have been a very game team, and I think they will continue to be game tomorrow. But the Giants have too much momentum right now, and I'm going to take New York at home by the score of 27-23. Now, down in Baltimore, you're going to have the 6-3 Ravens hosting the 3-7 Carolina Panthers. And this game is a very tricky game because with Carolina, excuse me, you never know what you're going to get. And now They're going to put Baker Mayfield back in there at starting quarterback. And the irony of this, you're talking about a guy who was taken first overall in that draft, going up against a quarterback who was the last pick of the first round that year in Lamar Jackson. But like I said before, and I will continue to say, as Lamar goes, so do the fortunes of the Ravens. And Lamar is playing for a contract right now. He's going to get it. And with that said, he's going to help the Ravens get the 30-24 win tomorrow. Now, down in Texas, you're going to have the 1-7-1 Houston Texans hosting the 5-5 Washington Commanders. And the Commanders have to be flying high after they handed Philadelphia their first loss of the season this past Monday night. This team right here, talking about the Commanders, they have the feel of a Ron Rivera type team. And I say that because Ron Rivera's teams, whether it's in Washington or Carolina, when you overlook them, and doubt them, that's when they play their best. And you have a defense that is coming into form. They're getting Chase Young back now. And this offense has been playing better with Tyler Heineke at quarterback as opposed to Carson Wentz. And of course, Riverboat Ron is going to continue to roll the dice with Heineke in this contest. It's very intriguing because once upon a time, Ron Rivera was an assistant coach on Lovie Smith's staff with the Chicago Bears. Now, these two former Bears head coaches, or coaches rather, are going at it in this one. But when it's all said and done, I'm going to give Washington the edge on the road by the score of 27-20. Now, out in the Mile High City, you're going to have the 3-6 Denver Broncos hosting the 2-7 Las Vegas Raiders in a game that somebody has to win. I mean, if you wanted to label this game as the disappointment bowl of 2022, not a lot of people would argue with you because both of these teams made some big moves over the offseason. And because of that, the expectations were through the roof for each of them. But when it's all said and done, Denver is going to be one of the worst teams in the NFL, as are the Raiders, because both of them have been extremely disappointing, especially on the offensive side of the ball. So, with that said, the Broncos do have the better defense, and I expect them to flex their muscles on this Raiders offense tomorrow. For Broncos quarterback Russell Wilson, it has not been pretty this year. It is, I mean, honestly, he has looked like a shell of himself. But, at the end of the day, can he and his Broncos offense do just enough against this Raiders defense tomorrow? Now, of course, Josh McDaniels is on the other sideline for the Raiders, had a previous history as the Broncos head coach. It wasn't pretty. He knows how to lose at Mile High, and I think that trend will continue for McDaniels tomorrow. Thus, I'm going to take Denver at home by the score of 20-17. Now, one of the big ones tomorrow, you're going to have the 6-3 Dallas Cowboys traveling to take on the 8-1 Minnesota Vikings. In this contest, will have the feel of a playoff game, and I would not be surprised to see either one of these teams facing off at some point in the postseason. A lot of stars for both of these teams. You think about Justin Jefferson at wide receiver for Minnesota. You think about Micah Parsons defensively for the Dallas Cowboys. And I know that the Cowboys are favored to win this game by 1.5 points. And a lot of reasoning for that is due to the fact that Kirk Cousins, the Vikings quarterback, has not really played good throughout his NFL career against Dallas. I think it's going to be important for Minnesota to get their run game going with Dalvin Cook. And I know that you have the talent at the wide receiver position with Justin Jefferson. You also have the Adam Thielen. You also have tight end TJ Hawkinson. But get that ground game going against this Cowboys defense, giving somebody like Micah Parsons something else to think about, a little something to make him slow down to get to that pocket. Kirk Cousins has to be assertive with the football. He doesn't need to force things because there's talent around him, and we know that Justin Jefferson can make plays. We saw the phenomenal plays that he made last week in the Vikings win against the Buffalo Bills. So he needs to trust in that. This Vikings front seven, will they be able to put some pressure on Dak Prescott? This Cowboys run game is a lot better with Tony Pollard as opposed to Ezekiel Elliott. So I think the Cowboys are going to continue to ride that and let Dak feed off of that and get the ball to the likes of CD Lamb and, of course, tight end Dalton Schultz. This is going to be a back and forth affair, arguably one of the better games of the weekend. And I think the last team with the football wins. And I'm going to take Minnesota at home by the score of 31-27. Now, in the Steel City, you're going to have the 3-6 Pittsburgh Steelers hosting the 5-4 Cincinnati Bengals. Both of these teams met in week number one. They look a lot different now than they did then. TJ Watt is back rushing the passer for Pittsburgh. Of course, we remember him suffering that pec injury in the Steelers' overtime win in week number one over the Bengals. Micah Fitzpatrick is expected to be back as well. No Jamar Chase still for the Bengals, and that really changes what they can do. But there's still plenty of talent on this Cincinnati offense, including quarterback Joe Burrow. The biggest thing for me for the Steelers, their offense has really been stuck in the mud all season long. Their defense has been good enough to win games, but the bottom line is you can't win games if you can't score points. And because of that, I'm going to give Cincinnati the edge in this one. And I'm going to take the Bengals by the score of 22-16. Now, tomorrow night at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood, you're going to have the 5-4 Los Angeles Chargers hosting the 7-2 Kansas City Chiefs. And the Chiefs have an opportunity to really put some more distance between themselves and the rest of the competition in the AFC West. The Chiefs have been steady Eddie all season long, and there's a good reason for that. You have one of the better coaches in the NFL in Andy Reid, and you also have one of the better quarterbacks in Patrick Mahomes. The Chargers are still the Chargers, whether they are in LA or San Diego. They simply cannot get out of their way, and they find ways to lose games. I think that trend continues tomorrow night, and thus I'm going to take Kansas City on the road by the score of 34-31. And finally, on Monday night, down in Mexico City, you're going to have the 4-6 Arizona Cardinals clashing with the 5-4 San Francisco 49ers. And San Fran comes into this contest favored by 8 points. One of the big questions for me heading into this contest is if Kyler Murray is healthy and good to go at quarterback for Arizona, is he going to have his track shoes? And the reason why I say that, because Nick Bosa and this front for San Francisco can get after quarterbacks. And as fast and shifty as Kyler Murray is, the 49ers have a lot of athletes on the defensive side of the ball to contain him. Also, this Cardinals defense, can they slow down this 49ers offense? And it's so tricky right now with all of the talent that the 49ers have assembled on offense. You got the likes of Debo Samuel, Christian McCaffrey, George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk. So the bottom line is, who do you cover and who do you attempt to double? And if you try to double somebody, you're going to be in for a long 60 minutes. Too much talent for San Francisco not to win this game. And when it's all said and done, I'm going to take the 49ers by the score of 31-19. So, folks, those are my picks for this week in the world of the National Football League. And as always, I want to take this time out to thank you for tuning into the 300 Pounds of Sports Knowledge podcast here on YouTube. I want to take this time out to thank all of you fine folks out there for tuning in. And if you have not already, please feel free to subscribe to this channel. Now, if you're on Twitter, please feel free to follow me at 300 Pounds of Sports. And like I always say, if you follow me, it'll be my pleasure to follow you right back. There's also the sports discussion group on Facebook at the Sports Depot 365. You can check it out. Drop a line and be a part of one of the better sports debating sites going on social media. So once again, fine folks, my name is William Martin. I'm signing off. Say take care and have yourselves a wonderful day.